Let's look at the captain matrix here. We've been running this week to week, and we look at game week 8, Kane and Son at West Brom away. The other alternative we looked at for this game week was Antonio versus Fulham, but that might not be possible now. So other than, if you're not going Spurs and Antonio's not available, you're looking at De Bruyne at home to Liverpool or Salah away at Man City, which very, very difficult to back them with any confidence because you just don't know what you're going to get from that game. And you're not going to have Fernandes at Everton either, are you? Because I know he scored there last year, but what are we going to get? So game week 8 is a big problem if you don't have Spurs and you don't have Kane. And at the moment, what do you think about Son or Kane for captain?
I was just going to say, because you say Kane there as captain, I'd be backing Son.
Would you?
In all the games. I mean, you've only got to look at Kane and what he is happy doing. I mean, Son is always going to be the person running off him. Kane can be the player who is having the most touches, the most shots, all these stats, the thingy. But then he can also regress back to being the creator. And I think Son is just going to keep delivering all season.
But what about the penalties, Az? This is the year of the spot kick.
The penalties is big because you could have Kane who does nothing for 89 minutes, gets a penalty in the last minute, and then gets max bonus.
Plus Son is always going off around 75, 80 minutes, whereas Kane's there to the end as well.
Yeah, that's true. But if I'm looking at a player who I think is, over the next 2 games in the Brighton and West Brom game, out of the two, who do I think has the bigger ceiling, as we like to call it? I think Son's is bigger. So I would back Son actually. Now you'd go Kane.
I think so, but again, it's all about it's what I said about every week we're learning a bit more, and we're learning to trust teams a bit more, like Leeds, for example, and we're learning a bit more about teams like Wolves and Leicester and what their potential is. And I still think the picture for me is not there. The full picture's not there yet enough for me to actually commit. And obviously when I ran my team through that tool and it showed me that if I had made no transfers I'd be 7 points better off, I've got to think that I'm making mistakes, right? So I'm thinking maybe bank the transfers, get more data and be better informed in game week 8. And so, Son or Kane, I'll learn a bit more this week, won't I, about that?
I mean, they're two very different games. I think General Zod's just said it in the chat. He says Son for Brighton, Kane for West Brom.
Yeah,
and I can see the logic of that because Spurs are going to have more space against Brighton, which suits someone like Son who can run on, and then West Brom expecting a tighter, more compact game, and Kane could benefit from that from a set piece or from some dodgy Ivanovic tackle in the 60th minute. He gets a penalty. So yeah, maybe there is maybe that is it. Maybe you pick and choose your captain based on the fixtures.
But this game week we got Salah West Ham and Kane and Son against Brighton. Those 3 stand out really. You wouldn't really consider Werner at Burnley, and Sterling and De Bruyne at Sheffield United. They're there, but I don't see many captains who's been on. So it's a 3-horse race, isn't it, for the captaincy? Yeah. And you'd have to put Mane in there as well. So actually, before we go off this start, I would just want to look forward to game week 11, and this is why City assets are going to be wanted in a few game weeks to come, because you look at game week 11, yes, you've got Kane at home to Arsenal and Son at home to Arsenal, but actually De Bruyne and Sterling at home to Fulham looks like could be a lot of damage there if you don't own them. So you're right in looking at game week 9 and thinking, right, I've got to start making plans for those guys then. Let's look at the captain data then around Mane, Salah, Kane and Son, and there's so little in it. I mean, Mane in terms of minutes per XGI non penalties, top there, 89.4. Then it's Kane 109.9 and Salah 129.2, and then Son last 130.8. There's not a lot in it for that. Minutes per shot in the box, Salah's out in front on 24.5, ahead of Kane on 28.1. Minutes per shot, Salah 18.6, Kane 18.4. It's so close, isn't it? So there's not a lot.
Yeah, and it's like kind of every week. At the start of the season, we were, Salah over Mane every day of the week. Even so much as last week, Joe was talking about getting in Salah and Mane, and I was like, well, realistically, you've got to get for Salah, the penalties and the threat. But every week it kind of gets closer and closer, and there's more of a case to be made for Mane. I still prefer Salah.
Yeah.
But it would. I see. There's a few people with the double up, which obviously is risky because if Liverpool don't perform, then you've got 2 of the most expensive players in the game, that have blanked. But I think it is quite a nice kind of way to differentiate your team if you can work it in, and especially when Spurs' fixtures change. It might be that you use that Kane money to fund that.
And plus, when they've got no defence, like I said, Klopp's got to go into most games and think we can't get away with just getting 1 or 2. We're needing 3 goals to win a game for sure, possibly. So they're not going to put the handbrake on, are they? In any game, not that they did anyway, but even more so now. Let's look at the West Ham Brighton data, and it's again little, isn't it? Minutes per XG conceded. West Ham 89.2, strong defence this year. But Brighton better that 95.7, and it's just really close between the two. Minutes per big chance conceded, West Ham have conceded a big chance every 71 minutes, Brighton 64, so they're better. So it's West Ham slightly better in terms of big chances conceded, but is it more about the attacking data? Because you look at Liverpool versus Spurs attacking data, minutes per XG 39.6 for Liverpool, 47.8 for Spurs. And do we think off the back of that showing at Burnley that makes us lean towards Liverpool and Salah and Mane more?
It's really close. I think I can see both West Ham and Brighton putting up a fight. I know I said Brighton are going to lose that game 3-1, and I think my prediction of them falling apart is probably quite accurate. But they do have the potential to give Spurs a game. I mean, you look at United. When we played United, we gave them a really good game. We weren't afraid to attack, but also we did defend well. And in the end, we got undone because of some set-piece goals and a last-minute penalty. So, it might be that it's not a complete walkover. But I don't think the West Ham match is either because of the form West Ham have shown. So, I wouldn't be surprised if not to see huge scores from any of Son, Kane, Salah, Mane, or any of the lot of them. It's a tough one. I don't think there's much in it. And like I said earlier, I think when there's not much in it, and you're looking at either Salah, Kane, or Son, I think you back Salah just because I just think he's got the most superior threat. Yeah,
and again, it's the fact that I think Liverpool know they need to get a winning margin, a bigger winning margin than Spurs. So yeah, I'm going Salah as well, and Sivert is going Salah as well.